Welcome to the Coach Toolbox. This podcast is for coaches, leaders, and learners at all levels in organizations and in all walks of life. Here, you will get just-in-time learning that is research-based and practice-focused. The goal is personal and professional mastery. And now, our session today.
Many of us who hold full-time jobs think about or dream about starting our own gig. And for many of us as knowledge workers or experts, an independent consulting practice or coaching practice holds the easiest entry into self-employment and doing our own thing. And this is even more attractive today given the rise of the gig economy culture. The challenge is that we spend too much time in this thinking or dreaming phase and not enough action in preparing. And this is not the best use of the time before we launch out. A much better route would be to start working towards setting up your own practice at least a year or two before. Here are some ideas that you could use to start working on right from today. They are not presented in any particular order or sequence that you should follow, but all these elements need to be in place as you build your confidence to take that plunge. And all these ideas are based on our own experience as independent consultants and first-time business owners. In our channel, you will also find some excellent podcasts on making career transitions from those who've done it. In particular, I encourage you to check out and listen to the interviews by Harsh Johari, Ashwini Kalkura, and Dinesh Deo. These would be very helpful listening for you. Without wasting too much time, let's get right into our conversation today. Here are some suggestions to help you build a strong launchpad for starting your own practice. Number one, depending on what you're planning to do, start your journey by skilling yourself. Not killing yourself, skilling yourself. What you're doing now currently is probably killing yourself. Okay, I'm just teasing. Take the next year or two to get the additional certifications, qualifications, and training that will support your professional credibility as an independent consultant. Remember, once you're on your own, you lose that huge tacit credibility of the organization brand name. So it's important to have these qualifications and credentials so that prospective clients can gain confidence in what you have to offer. Successful people we know, such as Harsh Johari, went back to school and got an executive MBA after spending more than a decade in the shipping industry. Ashwini Kalkura is a strong believer in enhancing skills and personal brand through technical certifications. And there are so many more examples. So make a learning plan for yourself today and put it into action. Tip number 2, look for a chartered accountant whom you trust and get along with. And most importantly, who is willing to support you in your small practice. Now, many of these established accountants will not have the time or energy to handhold you as you take the first steps. So look for someone who is also building their practice. Next, along these same lines, is to gather information from other independent consultants in your field about the legal structure that they have set up and that is working for them. There is a temptation for most chartered accountants to encourage you to set up a private limited company, and this is not required at all in majority of the cases. It just gives them the opportunity to bill you higher for the cost of setting up a private limited company and then maintaining this legal entity. Our experience is that a proprietorship is just fine and takes almost no time and cost to set up. So do some research around this. We also encourage you to shy away from setting up partnerships in a hurry. So if you have someone you'd like to collaborate with, do so, but do so as independent entities. You see, once you've been in practice for 2 to 3 years, then you will be able to decide if you need a partner and who your right partner is. So don't be too much in a hurry to jump into a partnership. Number 3. Don't invest money in logo design or don't spend days trying to think of the perfect name or invest in printing marketing collateral. Your initial business will come to you based on your existing credibility and you don't need fancy logo or visiting cards, or it's not the name really the perfect name. People spend months trying to figure out a name for their business. Investing money on building a fancy website is also not a key requirement, despite what some social media folks might promote. You can build your presence with free options like having a LinkedIn page or a business page on Facebook, and you can design your own simple website on a host such as WordPress at minimal cost. It's so simple. I mean, I could do it. This is more than enough to help you start. And once you get going, you'll realize that you really don't need this stuff in any case. So minimize your initial spend in these areas. Number 4, now before you take the plunge on your own, spend at least a year or two practicing your pitch and offering your service on a pro bono, that is at no cost, on a pro bono basis. The fact is that the pro bono aspect will also avoid any conflict of interest with your current employer. So you can start by giving guest lectures or talks or conduct as many training programs that your schedule permits. This will also give you the confidence and the opportunity to build and refine your offering. If you lack the confidence to talk to large groups of professional peers, then start with talking to college students or high school students. This is a great practice opportunity, and if you can engage this group, you can do it with professional peers too. In addition, look for as many opportunities as possible within your own organization for this type of work. If you do well here and develop an expertise and brand, then there is a very strong possibility that your own current organization will be your very first client. If you're starting off as a life coach or an executive coach, work with pro bono clients so that you develop your own expertise and build your visibility in the market. And it is these pro bono clients who will send you your first paid clients. Even in our own experience, as we started out more than a decade ago, the first round of pro bono clients were all people who knew us. We didn't get any money directly from them, but they all sent paid clients. They all sent organizational clients our way. So pro bono work does pay off, but the money comes from a different source. So be okay to do lots and lots of pro bono work. Number 5, and this is critical. One of the key skills that independent consultants need to develop is to learn to sell themselves and their services. Making cold calls, reaching out to prospective clients, understanding their needs, positioning your services, pricing appropriately, and also facing lots of rejection. All these steps don't come naturally to those who have not been in sales. So look for opportunities to be part of the sales process in your existing company so that you learn how it's done. In addition, start building up your network and professional connections in a focused way. If you're a technical trainer or a process expert, then you must connect and build bridges with prospective buyers of your service well in advance. You can connect with them at industry and professional organization events and so many other events which are available these days. And as you build trust with a few of them, you can take them into confidence about your plans and get their input. Perhaps some of them may invite you as a guest to do some honorary work for them as a way to understand and evaluate the value you bring to them. And even if you do lots of work in the next year or so for no money, don't worry, this is sweat equity in your practice and it will certainly pay you back richly. So maybe for the first year or two while you're in the prep phase, don't think money. Think adding value. Number 6, as you plan this career move, it's important to have your spouse and close family aligned with what you plan to do. Now, if you're not from a business family, it's very possible that parents, in-laws, and perhaps even your own spouse will have strong reservations about the loss of secure income and status that an organization brand gives to the family. So you will need to spend some time getting the stakeholders on your side. Also, be prepared that not all will be convinced or be supportive, so you will need to take this in your stride and not let it dampen your dream. Number 7, as you plan the value and offerings that you will provide, think adjacencies and related services. It's wiser to offer your technical training in a few areas and not just one. It's wise to have a set of offerings that can be useful for younger level associates, senior managers, and executive leadership level too. Track products that are currently very popular, for example, such as design thinking these days is very fashionable, and see if it has any adjacencies with your core offering. Sometimes the money will start coming in from the related services quicker and with less sales effort than your main offering. For example, if you're starting out as a coach, you may get an entry into the organization to do leadership development work or team building work much more easily than to do executive coaching. So you can tag the coaching component as part of your training offering till it stands out on its own. Therefore, combine your training services with related services such as one-on-one coaching or group coaching. Number 8, think collaborations. Look at ways in which you can tie up with other consultants whom you trust and offer services that has synergy. You could offer your services to clients known to the person you're collaborating with and vice versa. Look at joint projects. Remember, an important ingredient for collaborations to succeed is clarity in how both parties will operate, and of course, there must be trust between both parties. Furthermore, relationships tend to get strained not when things are difficult or just starting, but at the first sign of success and money coming in. So plan to minimize adverse impact by being clear and upfront on each assignment and taking things one project at a time. Number 9. One option that will give you benefits of being an independent consultant yet being part of a team is to join an existing company that offers the services and value offerings that you want to provide. These companies have an existing client base and brand equity. They also take up the marketing and collection aspects of the practice. All you need to do is deliver. So being associated with a good team like this is an excellent option that gives you the best of both worlds. So start the process of identifying, reaching out to prospective companies well in advance and explore some projects that you can do with them before you take the plunge. Number 10. Now that you're on your own, what about office space? So there may be a strong temptation to invest in renting space, or even more popular these days is to rent co-working space. As a starting consultant and entrepreneur, this may be an unnecessary expense and brings no value to getting business. When we started our practice many years ago, we worked from our living room. In those days, there was no concept of co-working, and certainly coffee shops were not as popular as they are today. So let's assume working from home is not an option that's comfortable for you. Then look for the nearest Starbucks or coffee shop that has a good vibe and no loud music. And you can select coffee shops in a variety of locations. We do most of our coaching and consulting meetings at such places, and they are as good as any co-work place. Except that you can't use their address, of course. And these days, I see many teams of 5 to 10 startups working in such coffee shops for nearly the whole day. So this is your lowest cost office space option. Number 11, invest in operating equipment and infrastructure that you'll require for your practice. So when we started our practice many years ago, everything that we owned in terms of infrastructure was owned by the company I was working with. House, car, computer, telephone. And this certainly may not be the case for you today. However, depending on your practice, invest in your critical equipment well before you launch out on your own. Many of us may not need too much other than a laptop and mobile and perhaps a printer. But think about what else might be helpful for you. Any other stuff that you might need for doing your training or whatever else is your core offering, invest in it well before you launch out. Number 12, an important aspect to consider before launch date is to keep at least 6 months to a year worth of operating funds. This will take care of home and business operating expenses till you get consistency in business and collection. When we started, we had arranged to get business in the first month itself, but we did not budget that it would take 3 months for the payment process. So that was a bit tense. So remember to keep some buffer, to keep enough buffer. Finally, number 13, one of the reasons that you're starting an independent practice is to get a life. Some more time for yourself and your family to do the fun things that you've always wanted to do. So make a list of activities, sports, pastimes, social work that you'd like to focus on in the time that is freed up from these long commutes and deadening meetings that you get caught up in today. If you don't actively plan to use your free time wisely in a holistic way, then there is a strong risk of you continuing to be a workaholic even in your practice. So as we bring our conversation to a close today, I hope that some of these steps will encourage you to start thinking and planning with even more focus and energy and enthusiasm. Setting up an independent practice is rewarding and fulfilling for nearly everyone that I know of, especially once the initial phase is over. So go for it. And now is the best timing possible. And please do share your ideas for practice setup in the LinkedIn comments or email me so that I can add some of your suggestions and tips in future podcasts. And do share your own experience also. Feel free to reach out if you need any support. We have such an awesome bunch of like-minded folks and we'll be happy to guide you. Good luck.
And that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Please connect with us on coachtoolbox@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and review this channel. Details of our ICF-approved coach training programs and our services as executive coaches and coaching supervisors are on www.globalcoachtrust.org. See you in our next session.